Snyderman, and this is Conversations on Creating to Heal. And today I'm happy to be speaking with Katherine Dines from Denver, Colorado, award-winning songwriter, recording, and teaching artist for families who has performed throughout the globe. Hers is a story of how her music has helped heal her niece, brought smiles to children in hospitals, and helped bring peace to a wounded soldier. Welcome, Katherine.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lisa. What an incredible project. I'm so excited to be part of it.
Well, that's so great. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for being here. So I wanted to start out, I had said that you're a recording, teaching artist, and I wanted to ask if you might have a short mission or purpose for what you're doing.
Oh, what a great question. I do feel like I have a mission and a purpose in that my first sort of beginning of my process was that finding out that I wasn't able to have children. And when that happened, and I met a publisher who asked if I could write lullabies, I at first said, no, I can't. I simply can't do it. I don't have children. I don't know what it's like. But he encouraged me, and the lullabies just started pouring out of me. And I was writing country and pop before the lullabies, and the lullabies then were recorded. They got nominated for a Grammy, and then a publisher asked if I could write for children. And of course I said, well, I don't think I can do that because I don't have children. But I did, and it is if I had a purpose right at that moment for my first song, that was what I was meant to do. And I just never stopped. So I guess that's my purpose.
I love that. I love that you, especially because you're not in necessarily a children's music field, but that you were drawn to that. And that's really special. Yeah.
It was so exciting to believe that you could actually connect with children. It was like, yes, I'm still, I'm older, but I can still feel like I'm 6.
Yeah, the importance of play and getting in touch with our inner child. That's so important.
Oh,
So let's talk a little bit about your transformation story. So I was saying that your music helped heal your niece and bring smiles to children in hospitals and also peace to a wounded soldier. What was it? What was the catalyst for this transformation, and in what ways did it most significantly transform you?
Well, the transformations sort of have been like chapters in a book, I'd say. And the first one was writing for children. The second one was writing educational songs. And the third one was when I was on tour with the Department of Defense in Europe. I found out that my niece had been buried in sand in an accident in Wyoming. And she was 13 at the time. And she was basically found blue without a heartbeat and without any air coming into her body. And from the location of where she was, it was very difficult to get a Flight for Life helicopter to land because it was so sandy. So there was a whole succession of things that sort of made this a miracle recovery. And when I found out what had happened, I called my parents and I said, shall I come home? It was my sister. I said, do you want me to come home? I can stop right now and I can be on the next flight. And by the time they got that message, they said, well, absolutely not. She's actually doing better. She's in critical care, but she seems to be doing really well. So then I agreed to continue the tour, and I couldn't go back after that because I made the commitment to go on. And apparently she started having convulsions right after our phone conversation. And my parents couldn't reach me because I was in transit. And I honestly felt so helpless. But my mom ended up taking some of my CDs to her. Actually, I think they were cassette tapes at the time.
Yeah.
Into the hospital room and playing my music. And the nurse called my mom and said that she was really responding to the music. And of course, that made me so just incredibly emotional. It's like, I'm not there, but I am there. And so that was really one of the transformative times where I thought, my music can really maybe make a difference in someone's life and their well-being. So that was one. That was the first thing.
That's huge. Yeah,
was,
no, I just wanted to acknowledge that that's huge. That's a big thing to understand, that sometimes as artists, we're creating, we're expressing, and it's for us when we do that process. But to realize that once we've, given our gift to the world, that there is something bigger than just that expression and that creativity. That's big.
It was really, really big. And I'm sure it was very personal too, having it be a family member. But from that, I actually moved to Nashville, and I was pursuing my career pretty quickly and had met a lot of teachers along the way. And I started performing and making sure that my children's songs were acceptable to children's audiences by performing in hospitals. So there's a really wonderful children's hospital there, the Peabody Children's Hospital, and it's just really great. It's at Vanderbilt, and it's got a lot of really sick kids from all over the Southeast that come there. And, I think when you have an opportunity to play music live for someone who is probably dying or may not recover or comatose, and you see, and it's hard to do. I mean, the first couple times I definitely am like trying to play the song and sing it and sobbing because you look around the room, you see the parents, and it's pretty emotional. But if you can manifest the strength that what you're giving is a gift and it's bigger than you, it's unbelievably powerful, and it's so transformative. And I'll start crying because, it's really good work. And there are a lot of people doing that today. And I think of so many different people that use music to help transform people to another level or to bring them strength and courage. So that was really helpful to have that experience. And now I still do it. I go to hospitals when I'm touring and do it as much as I can.
Thank you. Thank you not only for sharing that heartfelt story, but for doing what you do. I mean, that's really a beautiful contribution that you're making, and I can tell that people are touched, people's lives are changed. That's really beautiful. And let's talk a little bit about the Wounded Soldier.
So on my third Department of Defense tour, again, I was in Germany, and I was mostly doing international schools and some military base family audience performances. And a woman came to me and she said, "Would you like to go perform for the Wounded Soldiers?" And I said, "You're kidding, right? I mean, I do children's music. Why would you want me?" And she said, "Well, I think your work would really be soothing to them." And it was the first 3 soldiers, and they're like 19, they're kids. And they were the first ones wounded in the front lines of the Iraq War. And I sort of was, how could I say no, right? I mean, what an honor to be asked, but I was really worried that my kids' music wouldn't translate. And I basically went in and I visited all 3 soldiers, but one in particular who really felt, he felt good enough to talk and kind of wanted some connection with the United States, I think. And I held his hand and we talked, and I played him a couple songs, and I played him sort of a fun up-tempo one with things they could do with their hands. Some of them one of them was going to lose a leg. And I left, and it was really emotional because you talk to somebody who's dying in the line of duty or potentially dying on our behalf of whatever that means. I mean, a war. I'm a flower child, Lisa. So anyway, I came back to the States after that tour. And 4 years later, I was performing in California. And this guy walks in with this little girl, and he came up to me and he said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "I'm really sorry, I don't." And he said, "Well, I was the wounded soldier you played for when I was in the hospital, and this is my little girl. And it was like, that meant so much to me. And that just, again, I'm just a pitiful mass of tears.
No, not massive tears. You're experiencing an understandable emotional expression. You know, this is what happens when we know that our music and our souls have touched others. It's
Yeah,
really, really special. It's so
it's,
neat that he came up to you.
it was. And that many years later, I mean, he
Yeah.
had a little girl, and he happened to see that I was at the library, or I don't even know where I was, maybe at a festival. And it just was like, it was really, really special. So anyway,
Thank you.
oh, thank you for letting me share and cry.
And that's what this is about too. How has creating or sharing or performing helped you or others heal? And how do you experience this? How does it manifest? It might be something spiritual, it might be something physical, it might be something else for you.
Such a great question. For me, it's given me a lot of, I think, strength, personal strength, because I was pretty insecure. I mean, I would never, ever have performed my adult songs without, I was so terrified. But performing for children and knowing that my music can make a difference in the world has allowed me to really relax a little bit and not worry so much about, maybe I'm not a political activist, maybe I'm not doing as much in the world as I might have thought at one time, but I'm certainly being able to do what my gift is and bring that to different audiences. And that's been really important. So I think, for what I would say is that if you have something that you feel good about and you do it and you can see the difference that it's making, don't veer from that path, because that's what you're meant to do. I mean, on a spiritual level, and I'm sort of a spiritual person. I believe that.
I think that's such a gift that you've discovered this. You know, not only do you continue to do things on your path that give you purpose, but I love that you've discovered it. That's really special. And I don't think everybody does discover
I
their
think you're
purpose.
right. Yeah, I think a lot of people go to work and they're kind of drudged out by it, and I'm just thrilled to be able to do what I do. And then it's
Well, on that note, I want to invite you to share a little piece of your music, something that's meaningful to you, maybe inspired by your creative journey, and talk a little bit about how creating it or sharing it is helping you.
well, the first song I will play is a song called Wings, and that was the first lullaby I wrote when my niece was born. It's an uplifting lullaby that I hope everyone can relate to, whether you're a parent or a little child who just wants to nestle in, or whether you're an ill child or a wounded soldier. I hope it would give people strength.
If I could, I would give you wings to carry you out of the storm. They take you higher than the wind, where you'd be safe and warm. Wings, little wings, wings in the wink of an eye. Soon your little wings will be big enough to fly.
I'm smiling, and I'm smiling on the outside, and I'm touched on the inside. It's a beautiful lyric. I can see how that would bring some joy to anybody who listens, and I look forward to hearing it. So, lastly, I wanted to thank you for taking time to share some of your story with us. And I wanted to ask whether you might have any life lessons from inspired by your journey, especially for somebody who's dealing with something similar, that you might want to leave us with.
Music is a language that heals so many things and brings so many people together. And you may not ever realize what's happening with your music, but it is a gift, and so many people don't have that gift. So I will say, share it, however it comes out. And if you find that path where there's a certain kind or genre or feeling that you have about music, follow that path and don't veer from it, because that's your gift.
Thank you for coming on to Conversations on Creating to Heal. It was really nice to talk to you.
Oh, Lisa, thank you. And thank you. I cannot wait to see how this project comes out and transforms you. Not that you need it. Anyway.
Thank you.